afternoon, everyone. Okay, now it's time for my America's Got Talent Season 7 Top 48 Quarterfinals Week 4 recap. Just to let you know, this is also the last AGT recap until after the Olympics. This is the last recap before the Olympic break, because then after that I won't be doing another recap until August when the YouTube special will air. But anyways, these were the final 12 acts in the top 48 that performed. I can tell you, this actually was a great show. So, let's get started. First up was David the Bullet Smith, who was one of the first of the free acts that was automatically sent through to the 48 that was during the Vegas week. Of course, they had to go outside the studio for this because of safety concerns, in which his act, he fired out of the cannonball again and he attempted to shot himself 40 yards to make a 40-yard field goal, and there was a net behind the goalposts. Well, the music that was used during this act was Let Me Entertain You, as performed by Robbie Williams, which, when the bolt went off, he flew up into the air, went past the goalpost, and he landed safely in there. And Howard thought they were going to the left, but actually this was a great dangerous act, and I'm happy that they put him through immediately in that Vegas. So this really is a great act. Of course, he's also the second act in which the critique did not air until after the break. Because the first was back in Season 5 when Arc Attack had the critique. But anyways, David the Bullet Smith, actually a great act. I would love to see him again. Maybe he can do something more dangerous next time he's outside. So, 10 out of 10 for him. Then next up was a clogging group known as All That, which ironically, we actually saw this group back in Season 1 of the show when they finished actually as one of the runners-up along with the Millers. That was back in 2006. Well, they performed a clogging act to the song called Brown Betty, and the clogging actually was great. Of course, although this clogging might not be enough to make them $1 million act to begin with, they're actually great. They're probably not going to go through to the semifinals right away, but I think they do deserve another chance. So, All That, 9 out of 10. Still, great job, though. Then next up after that was the TV theme show singer Ulysses. Yeah, that's right. Of course, I knew he was horrible since the audition, and I'm surprised that he made it through. I don't think he should have gone through. Well, the TV theme song he sang was the theme to American Bandstand. It's just titled The Bandstand Boogie. And unfortunately, of course, at the beginning, it started black and white and first then went to color, but I know Howard and Sharon both buzzed this act at the same time. Ulysses sang a bit more, but then, near the end of the performance, Howie finally ended up hitting his buzzer, thus ending this performance, so he was also the only act to get buzzed, and he, got in a bad way. 3 X's. To me, I think Ulysses is just about as bad or even worse than Big Barry 2 weeks ago. So, after all, he should, I knew Howard hated Ulysses as much as Barry. So, Ulysses, since he got 3 X's, he gets a big, fat 0 out of 10. Because acts always get a 0 if they get 3 X's. Because that was horrible. Definitely not going to the semifinals, and I think his journey is over. For him. So yeah, Ulysses sucks. It's hard. I don't ever want to hear him again. Ever. But then things got a lot better after that, because the next act was Joe Castillo, who was a sand artist. And he made some sand paintings of telling a story of some of those animals and more in the environment. And all that. He even included a lion and an elephant and a bunch of other things. And with him telling a story, he did something that the Aurora Light painters couldn't do 2 weeks ago. So Joe Castillo, perfect 10 out of 10. He'll probably go through, but then he could be a wild card as well, because it's a tough choice. I mean, he's pretty good. Then the next act after that was Sebastien de la Cruz, also known as Sebastien el Charro de Oro, which means a young kid, and he sings with his mariachi band. And the song he sang was none other than the classic Bésame Mucho. And I tell you, singing it completely in Spanish with the mariachi, that really was fantastic. In fact, the judges say that, one of the judges said that with a kid, he's kind of like the Mexican mariachi version of Jackie Evancho, except the only difference is it's more mariachi music and less classical music. But overall, I do like him. He is a great... And I think that's even much better than the failed Decca edition that the Beatles had with that song. So yeah, the mariachi group is not on the way out. Well, even though they do have members playing guitars. But either way, I like this mariachi group. Perfect 10. Definitely going to go through to the semifinals. And all I can say to the mariachi, Viva la mariachi! Ole! Hey, so nice job. Then the next act after that was Eric Dittelman, a mind reader who happens to be from this state, as Dittelman, as we know, is from Westboro, Massachusetts. And for the mind reading, he had it set up like on the game show that Howie Mandel used to host, which we know was none other than Deal or No Deal. And believe it or not, I've got these Secret Vault games here too, just so I can show you, so you can see Howie Mandel right there. There. And you know what? For this act, Howie Mandel first picked case number 11. Then Sharon eliminated a row. The top row had all cases inside that said no deal. Howard eliminated the next row, I think. This was the row where 11 was on. There were the other 3 that were on that row. They all said no deal. Then Eric asked Howie if he wanted to switch, and you know what? Howie said yes. He switched and he picked case 4, and in the end, he revealed it. He opened up case 4 and it said, "You will choose this case." And as for the others' case, they all said no deal. So you know what? Because the target case was 4, and you know what? That was such a great act. Dittelman really did a great job with this deal or no deal thing, and he really made those He really is a great mind reader. And I would love to see him again. I think no magic act has gone through so far, but I would love to see him go through. So, Eric Dittelman, 10 out of 10, definitely going to go through to the semifinals, no doubt about that. And just when you think it couldn't get any better, the next act after that was William Close, who plays, and he's the second of the 3 that made it immediately through to the 48, in which his act, he played an Earth Harp, as Nick Cannon announced it as William Close and the Earth Harp Collective. Which, for his Earth Harp, the song that he performed was The Who's Love Reign Over Me, and he even had his background singer sing the lyrics while Close played on the harp, and even the other instruments also played some rotating drum things too. William played a little bit, but after all, the harp is fantastic. Pretty large, but yet it still creates great musical notes, and I tell you, William Close, he is another one of the acts that is heavily favored to win it all this season. So, William Close, he's definitely going to go through. 10 out of 10. That's good, too. Then the next act after that was a dance crew called Unity in Motion. And they did some dancing and acrobatics of contortionism, kind of like a Cirque du Soleil thing. Now, Howard mentioned he compared those guys to Turf, who did a couple weeks ago, but Unity in Motion, they are pretty great. The act wasn't completely perfect, but it's still good. They probably won't go to the semifinals right away, but I think they are definitely going to come back for the wildcard show, at least in my opinion. So, Unity in Motion, 9 out of 10. Then the next act after that was a singing duo, which was Eric and Olivia. And yeah, Eric played the guitar and Olivia sings the song, which the song that they performed was their own remixed acoustic version of Taio Cruz's Dynamite. To me, the singing was just okay. I mean, it could have gotten any better. Besides, with that duo, but since it was not one of their best nights, they're definitely not going to go through. But they still didn't do too bad. So 8 out of 10. Besides, we only need one singing duo in the semis anyway, since Shanice and Maurice are so much better. So I'm glad they're in. But Eric and Olivia, not going to make it to the semis, but still, great job to them. Then the next act after that was a young child dancer named Lindsey Norton, and she also is a dance like a Cirque du Soleil style dance, except solo. Since she's solo, her dancing actually was pretty fantastic indeed. Of course, I don't know if she might go through to the semifinals, but then again, she could be a wild card. So, but either way, I do appreciate that. So, Lindsey Norton, 10 out of 10, great job. Then the next act after that was Horse, which was, he was known as a nutshell act. And of course, with the nutshell, that means it involved briefly hurting himself. And to me, I think the nutshell act's a little bit too dangerous for other people to do at home. I would never do nutshell acts if I were them. He kind of like was dressed as a superhero and there were robbers, but he tried to kick them. Of course, someone tried to kick him to make him get hurt. I mean, most of the judges seemed to like it, but for me, I think it was just too dangerous. And if I was one of the judges for seeing this act, I would rather buzz this act. And believe me, if Piers was still on America's Got Talent, he would have buzzed this act. Because I think, yeah, it's too dangerous. But because he didn't get buzzed, Horse only gets 7 out of 10. So definitely not going through. I don't want to see any more nutshell acts in there. So, yeah. And the final act of the top 48 for this season was the third of the 3 that went through, and they were the Olate Dogs, which had 2 people from Cuba. 2 humans, and they had a lot of trained dog acts. They really did. The dogs did a lot of stunts, and they're pretty much about as good as the Britain's Got Talent winners, Ashley and Pudsey, which I finally got it cleared up. Someone mentioned to me in the comments of last week's review, but either way, the Olate Dogs seem pretty great to me. They could go through, but then again, could be a wild card. But either way, at least they might be around for a while. So, the Olate Dogs, fantastic dog act, 10 out of 10. So, here we go. So, this is really going to be a tough choice. There's a lot. This probably had the best lineup of acts, everything. Well, apart from Ulysses, of course. But a lot of those acts really were doing great. Hey, and it's a tough call. But anyways, for the picks I have, since there's only 4, my top 4 picks and whom I like to go through are David the Bullet Smith, Sebastien El Charro de Oro, Eric Dittelman, and of course, William Close. And because of how many great acts there are, I have a lot of wild card picks. I got 5. Now, not all of them will come back for the wild card show, but my 5 wild card picks I have, since the acts were so good, are All That, Joe Castillo, Unity in Motion, Lindsey Norton, and the Olate Dogs. So yeah, but I tell you, some of my wild card picks could go through to the semis automatically instead of coming. We'll never know what happens. So this result show is definitely going to have a lot of surprises. So it's going to be big. Anyways, there you go. And this result show tonight will also include performances by former X Factor UK finalist Cher, Lloyd, and the cast of the Tony Award-winning musical Once, based on the 2007 film of the same name, so you might hear the Oscar-winning song following slowly in there. But either way, it's gonna be a great show. Anyways, I hope you liked my review. I don't know if I'll be perfect as I was last week in terms of picks, because I did get all 4 of my picks in last week's show correct, but anyways, we'll see how it all goes in the results. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.